Hey guys, in this video we're going to be talking about solving quadratics using the quadratic formula, specifically just the procedure problems. I'll make a second video that has problems that are contextual. So let's take a look. Okay, so the first problem we have here is x squared minus 4x plus 4 equals 0. And the quadratic formula is up here in the top right corner. In order to be able to use the quadratic formula, we have to know what a, b, and c are. So in this problem, our a value, again, is always the number in front of x squared. So that's 1. B is the number in front of x, so that's negative 4. And c is always your constant, which is a positive 4. So all I'm going to do is take these three numbers and put them in the proper places in the quadratic formula, and then use my calculator to simplify. Okay? So the opposite of b would make it a positive 4. I have a plus or minus square root of negative 4 squared. And you always want to make sure that that b value is in parentheses and the square is outside, especially if your b value is negative. And then we have minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 4, all over 2 times a, which again is 1. All right, so I'm going to take my calculator. I'm going to do a little bit of work. I'm not going to put the square root in just yet. I'm just going to do the stuff underneath. So I have negative 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 4, and that gives me 0. Okay, so I have 4 plus or minus the square root of 0 all over 2 times 1, which is 2. And from here, all we're going to do is simplify as much as we can. Now, we got lucky. The square root of 0 is just 0. So now I have 4 plus or minus 0 over 2. But if you know anything about the number 0, it doesn't change the value of anything when you add or subtract it from something. So we're only going to get one answer. 4 plus 0 is 4, and 4 minus 0 is 4. So it's 4 over 2, which is just 2. So the solution to this problem is 2. Let's try another. All right, this time our a is 4, our b is negative 13, and our c is 3. All right, so the opposite of b is positive 13, plus or minus square root of negative 13 squared minus 4 times 3, all over 2 times 4. All right, let's get the calculator. So we have negative 13 squared minus 4 times 3, which is 121. So now we have 13 plus or minus the square root of 121 all over 2 times 4 is 8. All right, let's start the simplification. Now, 121 is a perfect square. The square root of 121 is 11. So now I have 13 plus or minus 11 over 8. This time I'm going to get two solutions because 13 plus 11 is not the same as 13 minus 11. So I'm going to split this into two separate problems. So I'm going to have 13 plus 11 over 8 and 13 minus 11 over 8. Okay, for those of us that like the calculator, I personally like to put it in as a fraction and just let it do all the work. So 13 plus 11 over 8 is 3. And I'm going to copy and paste that and change it from addition to subtraction, and we get 1/4. So my two solutions are 3 and 1/4. Let's try another. All right, this one, our a is negative 2, our b is 6, and our c is 9. Here we go. Opposite of b is negative 6, plus or minus square root of 6 squared minus 4 times negative 2 times 9 all over 2 times negative 2. All right, so we have 6 squared minus 4 times negative 2 times 9, which is 108. So now we have negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 108 over 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. All right, this time we have a number under the radical that's not a perfect square. But the nice thing about these calculators is it will simplify the square root of 108 for you. So I'm going to hit second x squared to put the square root in, and then I'm going to put 108. And when I hit enter, I get 6 root 3. So now I have negative 6 plus or minus 6 root 3 over negative 4. All right, for the procedure problems, we're always going to leave this in simplified radical form. When you use when you're working with a context problem, you'll want to use a decimal. We're still not done here though. We're going to take a look at these 3 numbers here. A lot of students in the past have called this the heart method because you can make a heart around those 3 numbers. And you want to find the greatest common factor of these 3 numbers. They are all divisible by 2, so that's what we're going to do. Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 2, plus or minus 6 divided by 2 is, oh my, that's not 2, that's 3. And then we still have a root 3, and negative 4 divided by 2, that is negative 2. And that would be our answer. All right, one more. Here we go. So we're going to say that A is 1, B is 1, and C is negative 4. So when we put it in the formula, opposite of B is negative 1, plus or minus the square root of 1 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 4, all over 2 times 1. All right, here we go. 1 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 4 is 17. So I have negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 17 over 2 times 1 is 2. All right, let's see if the square root of 17 simplifies. So second x squared, 17. It does not simplify, so you're in luck. We're just done. You cannot simplify that any further. And that's it. That's how you use the quadratic formula to solve quadratic equations.